GTA 6 might be more realistic than you think.
Yeah.
And not in the way people usually mean when they talk about realism in games. Because when most people hear that word, they immediately think about graphics. Better lighting, more detailed characters, reflections that look closer to real life. But Rockstar has never been about just making things look real. They've always been about making worlds feel real. If you pay close attention to what they showed in Grand Theft Auto 6, you start to realize that this time, they might be pushing that idea further than ever before. The first trailer isn't just a showcase of a bigger map or a modern Vice City. It's filled with small details that hint at something much deeper happening under the surface. The kind of details most people ignore because they seem like background noise. Social media clips, random people recording events on their phones, body cam footage, chaotic moments turned into viral videos. At first, it looks like Rockstar is just trying to reflect modern culture, the way everything today gets recorded and shared instantly. But if you stop and think about it, that one detail alone could completely change how the entire game works. Because in a world where everything is recorded, nothing truly disappears. That means your actions might not just exist in the moment anymore. They could exist as part of a system that remembers. Imagine committing a robbery, escaping the scene, thinking it's over, and then later seeing that exact event show up as a viral clip inside the game world. Not just as a visual detail, but as something that actually affects how the world reacts to you. People recognizing you, law enforcement tracking patterns instead of just chasing you blindly. Situations building over time instead of resetting like they always have in previous GTA games. That kind of system turns chaos into consequence. And that's where the realism starts to feel different. Because GTA has always given players freedom, but that freedom came with a safety net. You could do something extreme, something reckless, something completely unrealistic, and the world would eventually forget. The system would reset. You'd go back to neutral. But GTA 6 doesn't look like it's built on that same idea anymore. It looks like a world that continues, whether you're ready for it or not. And when you combine that with the characters Rockstar is introducing, it starts to paint a much darker picture. Take Lucia Caminos, for example. The first time we see her, she's in prison. That's not just a stylistic choice. That's a statement. Rockstar is telling you that this story doesn't begin with opportunity. It begins with consequences. Something already happened. A mistake, a betrayal, a failed job, something that led her to that point. And instead of showing you the rise first, they show you the fall. That changes everything about how you see the character. Because now, every decision she makes moving forward isn't just about ambition or survival. It's about not ending up back in that same place again. It's about understanding that the system exists, that it works, and that it will catch up to you if you slip. And then there's Jason. From what little we've seen, he feels different. Less controlled, more instinctive, more connected to the street-level side of things. If Lucia represents awareness, calculation, and the weight of past consequences, then Jason might represent the opposite. Risk, impulse, the kind of thinking that leads people into situations they can't fully control. And that dynamic right there is where realism starts turning into tension. Because in a system that remembers, mistakes don't just disappear. They build. They stack. And if one person is trying to stay careful while the other keeps pushing limits, it's only a matter of time before something breaks. That's the kind of storytelling Rockstar has been slowly evolving toward for years. If you look back at Grand Theft Auto 4, you can already see the shift. That game wasn't just about crime. It was about consequence. It's about how every decision affected Nico, not just physically, but mentally. Then Red Dead Redemption 2 pushed it even further, introducing systems that remembered your behavior, your honor, the way you treated people. NPCs reacted differently. The world responded in ways that felt layered instead of scripted. GTA 6 looks like the next step in that direction. This time, it's not just about how characters react to you. It's about how the entire system might respond. The density of the world in the trailer suggests something more complex than before. People aren't just walking around randomly. They're reacting, recording, interacting with each other in ways that feel unscripted. It creates the feeling that things are happening, whether you're involved or not. That the world doesn't revolve around you anymore. And that's a huge shift. Because for the first time, it might feel like you're not the center of the world. You're just part of it. That kind of realism changes how players approach everything. It forces you to think differently. Not just can I do this, but what happens if I do this? Not just can I escape, but what happens after I escape? It turns every action into something that could, potentially, come back later in a way you didn't expect. And that's where things get interesting. Because realism isn't about limiting the player. It's about creating a system where the player has to adapt. A system where freedom still exists, but it comes with weight. Where every choice feels like it matters, not because the game tells you it does, but because you can feel the consequences building around you. If Rockstar fully commits to that idea, then GTA 6 won't just feel bigger than previous games. It'll feel more alive, more reactive. It's more unpredictable. And that unpredictability is what makes it dangerous. Because in a world that remembers, in a system that adapts, in a story built on consequences instead of resets, there's no guarantee you can control what happens next. And that might be the most realistic thing Rockstar has ever created. Not a perfect simulation of reality, but a world where your actions actually follow you. And once that happens, you're not just playing the game anymore. You're trying to survive it.